Good evening, everybody. You're very welcome along to round number 3 of the Digital-Motorsports TCR Cup. We saw a fantastic race last time out in Brands Hatch, and it only looks to get better. Keith Dempsey, a double race winner last week out, and today we head to Oulton Park here in Little Budworth, in the UK, excuse me. So we are not going to be using the Hislops layout. We're avoiding the Hislops layout, which is the little fast chicane after the back of the circuit. So it's the international circuit with a big long straight at the back. Samuel Kumo on cameras, Adam Bath in the box alongside me. Adam, what an amazing race we had last time out in Brands Hatch. Keith Dempsey with a double win, of course, and it looks only to get better this week.
Oh, it was a pretty breathless 2 races, that must be said, at Brands Hatch last week. And of course, as we mentioned at the end of last week's show, the drivers don't know where we're racing until pretty much the day before. So they wouldn't have had too long to practice around here. There's a couple of hours of practice before we come on air. And now they've got a lone qualifying to put that practice to good use. So I think we could be in for more of the same, where it's quite difficult to get some overtakes done. So I think the drivers are going to have to get a bit creative in the 2 races that we've got coming up today.
Yeah, for sure. Very narrow circuit right here around Oulton Park. Here we are with Keith Dempsey, who was the double race winner last time out in Brands Hatch, and now the championship leader by a very large margin after Jason Cooper crashed out in race 2, of course. So he's dropping down the hill now. So we do use the back of the circuit. We don't take the little nip into the inside at the end of this straight right here. We head straight down to the banked corner at the end of this part of the circuit right here. And again, it's a really nice corner because the camber really helps you out there, but we do skip the chicane after it as well. So we're just looking to keep coming through this banked corner at the end of the circuit right here. And Adam, especially in a front wheel drive car, camber really is your friend right there.
It really is, so long as you don't run out too wide, because there isn't much grip offline through the flat out, or almost flat out left-hander, and then through the banked right-hander, the island hairpin, and then up over the crest towards the chicane with Knickerbrook at the end. So it's a really challenging part of the circuit, and you're right, the camber should be pretty beneficial to all of these Audis, and whoever manages it best will be sitting pretty at the top of the timing screen. It's going to be, I predict, a very close qualifying session here as Dempsey heads over the crest and on his way towards Druid's double apex right-hander.
Yeah, Druids last week's side of many coming together, but Druids in a different sense right here to this right-hander, double apex right-hander, up and over the hill towards a Lodge corner, which I think is going to see its fair share of action. It's seen its fair share in BTCC, but it's going to see it for sure in these TCR cars up and over the hill. The front-wheel drive does not like it over the top of that hill, but it's Robert Moore currently setting the pace, and then Dan Harper pops in a mental 1:39.0, 4/10 of a second quicker, and across the line comes Keith Dempsey. He's not as quick. Dan Harper, that's a rapid lap time from the BMW junior driver, and he's setting the pace out there.
Brilliant lap by him. In fact, I think I saw him on BMW social media this week. They were doing something, and I saw Dan Harper on that, and he's sitting pretty at the top at the moment. Dempsey 3/10 of a second away, and it looked like that was Dan Harper's final flying lap, because there he is, parks at the side of turn 1, and if anybody's got anything left in the tank, they might be able to challenge him. But after Harper and Dempsey, you can see how close everybody is after that. A few cars almost setting identical lap times. That is how close it is around here. 400ths between McGovern and Dowling, 15th and 16th. Just 200ths between Holman and Harris. And there you go. There's Peter Dempsey going in at 5th place. He didn't have the best of race 1's at Brands Hatch. He was colliding as we look here. Ronan Hederman going into the chicane, and Dempsey will be hoping for a good race meeting here. Here is Ronan Hederman going into Knickerbrook now and onto the final part of the lap.
Yeah, Ronan doing a nice job in the top 10 right here. Obviously putting the practice in, so he's coming over under the bridge right here towards Druids again. So you can just see how much the circuit undulates up and down through this double apex right-hander. In fact, earlier on in the week, we decided to run a fun little rallycross session around this track, and I have to say it's quite something in rallycross cars. I can't imagine what it's like in TCR when you've got 40 other cars to fight positions in. Through the last corner comes Ronan. See if he can improve on his position. He's just behind Jason Cooper on the grid at the moment. Let's see if he can pop ahead, because it's an impressive qualifying performance from Ronan here as he comes across the line. Is he going to improve on where he is right now? Doesn't look like it, but a nice job for the man who freshly shaved off his beard this week. So he's looking about 20 years younger, is Ronan. So still looking like Dan Harper is setting the pace right here. We look at Adrian Campfield, and it doesn't look like Dan Harper is going to be beaten. That 3/10 of a second around Oulton Park in a TCR car is quite a large gap, I must say.
That is a pretty decent lap by Dan Harper, as we were saying. Here is Adrian Campfield, though. He's within striking distance of the, I'd say at least maybe the top 10, if it can be a mighty lap. Here he is for the final corner. As he said, it's so difficult to get the power down here in these front-wheel drive cars, and let's see what Campfield can do. He's currently 16th. Where's he going to be at the end of this lap? He moves up to 7th. I did say the top 10 was achievable, and he's been able to achieve that, just 0.6 of a second off the P1 time.
And with that, we round out qualifying with Dan Harper securing his very, very first pole position. So a nice job from the BMW junior driver from Northern Ireland. So now he pops in front of Keith Dempsey, who, of course, is the championship leader. Really nice job there. And now we have a look at the grid for the lineup. And here we go. Take a breath. Dan Harper in pole position, Keith Dempsey in second, Robert Moore third, Oisin Walsh in fourth place, Peter Dempsey is fifth, then it's Jason Cooper, Adrian Campfield, Ronan Haderman, with Wayne Douglas in ninth and Brian McManus rounding out that top 10. Just outside, by the smallest of margins, there's a tenth of a second between all of these guys. Wayne Douglas, then Brian McManus, James Holman, Damien Harris in 12th position. And then Shane Rabbit in 13th, Tony Stack, Fraser Smith, Johnny Adam joining us as well, the Aston Martin factory driver 16th, Paul King, Rod McGovern in 18th, Adam Dowling 19th, Rob Barrable 20th, Naveed Hussain, Alex Denning, who was so cruelly robbed of a podium last week, Pat Maston 23rd, Craig Breen is down in 24th place. Found out he actually had a malfunctioning brake pedal last week. Let's see if he can improve on what happened to him last week. But Olivier Van Herk, Arias Diamantis, Sergio Graben, Carl Hardy, Peter McCann, Diarmuid Toomey, Keith Rabbit, Tom Empson, Damien McMullen, Dave Collier, Owen Murray, Naren Kerry, 36th on the grid, 2.4 seconds off the back. Then is Nathan Healy, Rob O'Neill, Patrick McKenna, Jack Byrne, Paolo Breme, Evan Walsh, Roger Morton, Dale Bennison, Shane Burke. Podium sitter last week is 45th on the grid. Scott Malcolm, Kieran Ewis, and Dave Sheehan in 48th place on the grid. So there's a lot of new drivers joining us as well. So I think they've got their work cut out because it's a star-studded field. But let's see, what can Dan Harper do from the lead?
Yeah, we know these Audis are quite difficult to get away from the line, front-wheel drive, and we did see a few cars struggling there. We're about to find out. Here come the lights.
And here we go, round number 3, heat race 1 for round 3 of the Digital-Motorsports TCR Cup. And it's Dan Harper who gets a great start from row number 1. Keith Dempsey tries to follow him. He's already up his inside. It's a great start from Keith Dempsey in the second phase of the start. Dan Harper's getting mugged off the line. Oisin Walsh goes through up the inside, and that is going to be in contact in the background. There's a car around that looks like Rob Moore, who's in the gravel at turn number 1, just running out of space. 3 abreast as they went through there. Keith Dempsey leads. Oisin Walsh second. Peter Dempsey's third. Adrian Campfield has come through to 4th place already off the grid. That's a great start from him, but a disastrous start for Dan Harper. Gets mugged off the line, and he drops down a long way, and that's exactly what can happen. Keith Dempsey nailed that start.
Oh, brilliant stuff from Keith Dempsey. I wonder if Dan Harper's been spending too much time behind the wheel of a BMW. They're famously rear-wheel drive, and that Audi was not moving at all once the lights went out. So that's a massive shame for him. He's down to P5 now. And looking here at Oisin Walsh, who's had a fantastic start. 2 places gained for him. Somebody in the midfield, if I'm reading that right, Keith Rabbit's gained 10 places within a space of half a lap.
Keith, 10 places again. Well done to Keith. Here we look at James Holman and Wayne Douglas going at it right here. Oisin Walsh, great start from him as well. It just looked like Dan Harper, he got the initial reaction, but he just got a ton of wheel spin. Keith Dempsey managed to capitalise there. Oisin Walsh and Peter Downs, more contact in the background. That's Adam Dowling, who's just been involved in contact there with Pat Masterson, that looks like in the back. So we'll try and see there. It is Pat Masterson, I think, who's been sent around. Yeah, it is indeed. And Peter McCann goes through up the inside right there. So a lot of guys gaining positions already, but again, it looks a bit cleaner than it was in Brands Hatch. There's a little bit more space to work with through turn 1.
Yeah, Druid's big breaking point at turn 2 at Brands, and resulting in quite a lot of cars colliding. Looking here at Robert Moore, who has just been passed by Pat Masterson. It hasn't been the best opening lap for poor Robert. He's lost 22 places away from the line, and is trying to get some of them back as he goes into the final corner at Lodge. No way through there. We might see a few drivers going for an audacious attempt at the inside, but here come the cars over the line to complete the first lap, and Dempsey is away. He's got a relatively comfortable advantage as we look at the fight for a spot in the top 10.
Brian McManus having a go on Damien Harris up the inside. A tricky place to have a go there. Brian, can he make that work through there? And he does, just about. Just somehow Damien Harris manages to slot back in there. Nice little move up the inside right there. He goes through to 9th place. Fraser Smith just in there in 11th place. Podium finisher as well in the feature race last week. And doing a nice job there in 11th. See if he can claw his way back But as you said, Keith Dempsey in total control already. Roland Hademan has fallen down to 12th. Johnny Adam 13th there. There is Keith Dempsey. And I said that. Oisin Walsh is really keeping pace. He's only 2/10 off the back of him. There's a big train starting to form with Peter Dempsey latching onto there. Adrian Canfield is 4th, and Dan Harper, I think, as the red mist has ascended, he's coming for them.
He really is, and it's interesting to see how much of a tow you get around this circuit. There aren't too many long straights. As off is Wayne Douglas. That's at the chicane. Hey,
I don't think much of that rejoin. Dear God, that's taken out Keith Rabbit, unfortunately. The man who gained so many places on the opening lap. He gets another clout in the rear by another car. But let's have a look at that again. Wayne Douglas drops it on the grass right there, and then tries to get it going again, but ends up coming straight across the path of Keith Rabbit, who had absolutely nowhere to go. Arrives in at a very large rate of speed, and unfortunately gets jammed underneath him right there. Unfortunate for Keith, he gained 10 places on lap 1, and that is unfortunately his race over, and that's how easy it can go wrong.
Especially at that chicane, if you tried to cut the apex, you're heading straight for the tyre stacks, and your race will be pretty much over if you hit them. They are pretty solid on iRacing anyway. But here are the leaders again. Last time around it was 140.08 for Keith Dempsey, 139.7 for Oulton Walsh in second place. So the guy in second is closing them down. Purple sectors all over the place, and you can see them having to dab the brakes just a little bit through the for the almost flat out kink, and now into the hairpin before we go on to the longest straight of the circuit, all the way down to the chicane from here.
Yeah, 15 lap race, and of course don't forget the feature race, of course, is a top 20 reverse grid. So what you see right now is going to be totally different in the feature race. But Oisin Walsh looking threatening behind that car of Keith Dempsey, just having to back off in the braking zone right there. Peter Dempsey's trying to follow through as well as he almost gets into the back of Oisin Walsh. Big contact in the tyre barrier as soon as he came through. It's all gone terribly wrong for Oisin Walsh. Gets it wrong on the brakes, smashes the tyre barrier on the inside, and he gets sent around. Total disaster for the Irishman, who was doing so well in second place right there. Let's see if we can see what happened here. He comes over the top. He's firmly in the slipstream with Keith Dempsey right here. Tries to goes a bit too late on the brakes, I think. He just turns into it. He drops it on the brakes on the way in and just lost the rear end and straight into the tyre barrier. Gets collected by Dan Harper, and James Holman has to take avoiding action as well. That was massive and so unfortunate for Oisin Walsh.
I'd love to see the rear view of his car to see if Peter Dempsey almost gave him a slightest touch going into there, because he did seem to lose the rear very, very easily there. What a shame for him, because we were just talking about him setting a quicker lap than Keith Dempsey, and he could have been in with a shout of maybe going for the race victory here. As we look at Damien Harris, he's got James Holman for company, Brian McManus just in front of him by 0.2 of a second as well, and the fight for a spot in the top 6 is well and truly on here. But what a shame for Oisin Walsh. Hopefully he has a better race too. I don't think he's going to be able to get in the top 20 for the reverse grid, but that's something to build on for him, that's for sure.
Yeah, Brian McManus capitalising on all this. He's up to 6th place now. Damien Harris behind him, James Holman, Fraser Smith latching in there, and Johnny Adam as well, getting his nose in there in 10th place. Aston Martin factory driver getting his nose in here. Let's see how he gets on, but Brian McManus doing a nice job recovering to 6th place. Didn't have a good round last time out in Brands Hatch. Just trying to recover something here. But that leaves the Dempsey brothers 1 and 2 after all of that. Adrian Canfield is now in the podium positions, and Jason Cooper is in 5th place with Dan Harper 4th as well. So there's plenty going on right here, and Brian McManus is just trying to do his best to hold off 4 very fast drivers. Is in the background. That looks like Craig Breen around. Tony Stack's involved as well. That's Craig Breen with the whole rear end missing off his car. I wonder, was there contact coming in there? I have to try and see, but that's the total rear end missing off of Craig Breen's car.
What a shame, and this chicane is really turning into Calamity Corner. Oh, he missed the braking point, did Breen. Slides across the circuit. Fortunately, he doesn't hit the tyre barriers either.
Yeah, poor Tony Stack was an instant victory. He did well to keep it going to Tony Stack, but yeah, Craig just dropping it on the brakes there. And he has got to limp back with the entire rear end missing off his car, no rear wing. You'd think that the rear wing doesn't do much, but it really does. It really helps keep the rear end in check. As Peter Dempsey lapping quicker than his brother at the moment by just 0.4 of a second. And Adrian Canfield setting good pace behind, but Dan Harper fastest lap of the race in 4th place. So he's trying to mount a recovery here after his awful getaway off the line. And top 20, remember, is reverse grid. So currently Rob Moore, who was in the gravel at turn 1, is currently on, he was on pole position, but now that's been given to Pat Masterson. as he makes a position up there. But Craig, and all is not lost for the feature race, because as we keep mentioning, the reverse grid really does help bring back guys who didn't particularly have a good heat race one.
Fortunately for him, there is quite a gap between he and 20th place. There's about 1.5 seconds back to Carl Hardy and whatnot. Here is a decent scrap. This is Ryan McManus trying to keep Damien Harris at bay going into the chicane. This is where we've seen quite a lot of the incidents happening. Johnny has him just at the back of that shot. I believe he raced here in the SEAT Cupra Championship before he moved into the BTCC. Spent a year at Airways BMW before obviously moving on to get the Aston Martin factory drive. So I'm sure he knows his way around here, and there he is at the back of the top 10 waiting to see if he can make a charge through the field, and he's got quite a few cars in front of him as he goes into Druids now.
Yeah, obviously familiar territory of Johnny Adam here in the TCR car in a big old train. With Ryan McManus is doing very well to hold off Damien Harris, very experienced in these cars. Well, James Holman as well, a very experienced racer, very consistent racer as well, right behind him. Fraser Smith is also not too far off of this one as well. We know how he can just drive through and pick up positions. So now we look back from McManus's car on Damien Harris is looking so threatening right there. You can see how much the cars are just bumping around. It's a very bumpy circuit, Oulton. It doesn't look like it, but it really does set these cars bopping and banging from left and right, left and right. Especially with the,
as you mentioned, the undulation of this circuit. When you get on the brakes, the front wheels do all the work, so the rear wheels may at some points get off the ground, and you have got really not much in terms of grip. So that's going to be challenging for the drivers. This corner indeed is very challenging, especially if you go offline. Damien Harris closing quite a bit there through that corner. It looked like Brian McManus was on the brakes for just a little bit too long, and that might leave him potentially to get attacked here down the back straight, because of course there's no chicane here. They're flat out to the chicane.
It almost makes it even more interesting, because now here comes Damien Harris again. Brian McManus is a very hard man to pass, so Brian McManus into the middle of the road here. You can see how narrow the circuit is, gets his braking spot on, manages to hold on for now through the chicane, and then through Knickerbrook right here. Up Calais Hill we'll come then, trying his best to not trying anything stupid at the moment. Harris up 5 positions from where he started already. Fraser Smith up 6. Johnny Adam is up 6 as well from where he started. Craig Breen starting to make positions as Tony Stack looks like he's had a problem further down the order. He drops back. We look how close Damien Harris is to the double right of Druids right here. And yet Tony Stack has been around at the same corner where Craig Breen lost it as well. So that looks like it's a problem corner for these guys. But just the heavy braking is obviously upsetting the car a lot.
Yeah, you've got to be quite careful on the brake pedal, and up the inside there goes Carl Hardy, very nearly collecting Peter McCann, who has to take evasive action there. And these two are not going to be doing themselves favours and trying to pull away from the likes of Robert Moore, Rod McGovern and Evan Walsh. These guys could really start to get under attack as they go into the final corner.
Yeah, Evan Walsh is going to be really wanting to hold on to the 20th place, because it's been a long time since we've seen Evan Walsh on the front row. So it'll be interesting to see what Evan can do. He's quick in these TCR cars. We'll see what he's able to do. We're looking at Carl Hardy now, being chased by Robert Moore, who's trying to mount some sort of recovery. And remember, he started third on the grid, so he's had a terrible run. He's down 15 places from where he started. So he's now trying to make his way through past Carl Hardy, Peter McCann up the road, and then the very broken car of Craig Breen is just up ahead as well. There is Sergio Grabban, who's just off of reverse grid pole. He's got Pat Masterson and Paul King right behind him as well. Tony Stack, of course, dropped it earlier, so he's a little bit ways off of these guys. Oh. And there's contact further up ahead. Not quite sure who that was, but there's a car just punked in the back. Managed to keep it going on the bank right there. But we go back. Damien Harris is just unable to find a way through way past Brian McManus right here, almost having to push his way through.
Yeah, the immovable object is the VRA racing car at the moment. We did see on the previous lap Hardy and somebody else involved at this very corner here, Druids. Is he going to try and do the move there on the inside there? No. But if he stays just as close as he is now, he might fancy his chances into Lodge. Over the crest we go. Car gets really out of control there. And now we're into the final corner at Lodge. Can he throw it up the inside? This is where the two Hondas collided in that famous BTCC race. And he's continuing to nibble away at the rear end of that number 4 Audi TCR car. Fantastic scrap this is between everybody here fighting for a spot in the top 6. Dan Harper is continuing to lap quick times. He was purple in one of the sectors on the previous lap, and as you were mentioning earlier, he's within striking distance of a spot on the podium after that atrocious start earlier.
Yeah, as is Jason Cooper. Jason Cooper's been doing just a little bit of work right there, and he's managed to get himself up to 5th place. He's following Dan Harper right now. Adrian Campfield still holding on for dear life for that 3rd place, but Peter Dempsey and Keith Dempsey have checked out up front. there's about a 2.3 second gap between them up there. They're setting very identical lap times, so there's not going to be much movement up there. And Keith looking like he's in control. He's leading the championship by a ways over Jason Cooper after Jason Cooper's DNF'd in race 2 last time out of Brands Hatch. I remember they had a great fight in race 1 as well. So Dan Harper, is he going to be able to mount a move for 3rd place? I don't think he's going to be able to be close enough this time, but he's going to be kicking himself for getting that start all wrong on lap 1.
Oh, he'll be really frustrated because we saw in the qualifying session just the amount of pace he had, and the clock continues to tick down, and he's still got a face full of Adrian Campfield. He'll be hoping to rectify that as soon as possible. Looks on the timing screen as though Johnny Adams now moves up into 9th, and something's not going at all right for Fraser Smith, who's now down to 12th. But we continue on with this battle. Can the final corner at Lodge be the opportunity? It certainly looks like it.
Yeah, and Dan Harper having a look through Lodge. We've seen so many moves in the here. He looks up the inside. Campfield gives him the space, and now Jason Cooper is going to textbook and try and follow him through. Classic move right there, but he's going to get put on the outside for this little king, with straight to the inside for turn number 1. Dan Harper moves to 3rd place. Can Jason Cooper make it into 4th? Oh, they're touching down the straight, and through goes Jason Cooper. Adrian Campfield might get the cut back, but Jason gets it stopped, and that is classic TCR. One guy opens the door and you just follow him through.
Oh yeah, Jason Cooper was in perfect position to benefit from the battle between Harper and Campfield. Campfield couldn't get to the inside to keep him at bay, and Cooper was there straight away. A little bit of door banging on the front straight, but it was enough for Cooper to get through. We've seen the pace that he has from the season so far. Very quick at Donington, very good at Brands Hatch too. And look at this scrap. This is between Damien Harris and Campfield and McManus, sorry. And they're going to carry on going wheel to wheel into the hairpin.
He tried everything. That was a really audacious move from Damien Harris, and he's got the undercut underneath Brian McManus as they run through towards the end of the straight right here. He's been trying for so long to try and get past. They're now side by side. He's got the inside line for the chicane, which is so crucial. But remember, there's a tyre barrier on the inside, so he's got to get it stopped and get it turned in. Brian McManus with the run on the outside. He's going to be able to hold it. Who's going to break? Last of the late breakers. McManus around the other contact. They door bang. Damien Harris was turned into the wall. Brian McManus, no. It was such a good race. Ran out of room straight into the tyre barrier. So unfortunate. The right front is broken. He was having such a good run, such a good battle, and that is race over for Brian McManus.
What a shame. They were pretty hesitant to turn into the chicane, and then eventually contact was made, and there was no way he was going to go but into that rock solid tyre barrier, and that's a massive shame for him. He was running up in the top 10, Brian McManus, and now he's going to be joining one of a few drivers that we've seen at the front of the field taking a whack at that tyre barrier. So that's a massive shame for him, and he joins quite a growing list of retirees in this opening race.
Yeah, for sure. And it looks like just slowly but surely, maybe not on that lap, but Dan Harper, he's closing in a little bit on Peter Dempsey up ahead, and you can just see them in the background, and that's Wayne Douglas we were seeing on our screens. But actually, as I was mentioning Peter Dempsey, he's called his brother. He's 0.7 of a second off the back of him now. He's pulled 2 seconds out of him nearly, and just Wayne Douglas in the back. Then you can just see Dan Harper just behind, and he's now having to fend off Jason Cooper, who's right on his bumper as they come through there. Adrian Campfield's still in there, and now as a result of all that action, and of course with Brian McManus in the wall, that has allowed Johnny Adams to 8th, Ronan Hayden, and Alex Denning is through to 10th place. He started a long way down the grid, so he's in a good spot there, Alex Denning. Of course, we saw him cruelly get robbed of a podium last week on the final lap in Druids, of all places. So Alex trying to get himself further up, and he should be in a good position for the reverse grid as well, starting in 10th in the next race as well if he holds on to that.
Yeah, solid drive through the field from 22nd, and now he's in with a shout with the reverse grid, as you mentioned. Fraser Smith battling away here with Naveed Hussein, and it looks like he might have just got it done. Oh, careful there on the brakes, and who's that behind? That's Craig Breen. He is down to, he's up to 14th place now. He was lower than that earlier, but of course the demise of a few of the cars in front of him means that he should be pretty safe with 4 minutes to go of being in the top 20 for the reverse grid.
Yeah, Craig looking race, even with the back end of his car missing. He's tail wagging through all of these corners without the rear downforce. He's still looking race. Look, he's just completely sideways through Druids right there. As they come down the hill then, it's looking like Craig's going to be not quite going to get the run on Naveed Hussein, but and Naveed Hussein is having to try and fend off Fraser Smith. He got by him momentarily, but it looks like he's managed to get ahead. Fraser Smith gets ahead. Now Craig Breen's going to have a go in the inside of turn number 1 with the total rear end missing off his car. Let's see if he can get it stopped on the inside here. Navi gives him the squeeze to the inside. Craig's on the inside. How is he going to get it stopped? Door banging puts Navi Hussein onto the grass right there, and he's into the wall. Can he keep it going? Yes, he can. Robust move from Craig Breen, but I think all's fair in TCR.
I think that's well and truly right. Craig Breen, I bet he doesn't have to deal with any of that on the World Rally Championship, but it was an audacious move up the inside. We saw a few of them at the start of this race, and look how close Robert Moore was to getting absolutely taken out by the off car there. And Robert Moore is through into up into 14th place, and here comes Naveed Hussein. He wants that place back after the two of them nearly came to blows on the exit the first corner.
What I particularly like about that onboard we just saw from Robert Moore is even though Naveed Hussein was slowly drifting across, Robert Moore did not lift at all. He kept his foot planted on the inside and just hoped that the gap would stay there. So he's back up to 14th place right now. He's on a decent recovery right here. He's down 11 places, and Craig Breen is up 11 places. And so good drive from Craig, even though he's spun already. Evan Walsh, now we'll go back to Evan in a moment, but Dan Harper's under severe pressure from Jason Cooper right here, who's trying to get a podium place. Of course, he's still in the fight for the championship here, so it's still very crucial, every point he can possibly get. Now let's see if he can negotiate. Dan Harper, not an easy man to pass, so as he comes through turn number 1, getting right up on the bumper, as you can see. He gets spun. Jason Cooper spins him, I think, on the exit right there. Dan Harper's in the wall. A bad start from lap 1, and now he's in the wall on lap 12 of 15, and the rejoin might get a little bit dicey as he tries to get out of the way, but Dan Harper, so unfortunate there. We'll have to see what happened there, but it looks like Jason Cooper just got into the back of him on the exit there. Yeah,
turn 1 is a very difficult corner, and the car gets light on the exit, and it didn't take much, did it, for Jason Cooper to turn him around. We're going to see on the replay here, slightest touch.
Yeah, it was barely anything on the exit, but as he said, the car was just on the inside, and that just sent him around. Jason Cooper goes through to 3rd. Adrian Campfield goes to 4th place, and that would also promote promote everyone 1 place as well. Dan Harper's lost a lot of positions right now, and again, that all comes back to that start that he got all wrong on lap number 1, but unfortunately, that puts an end to his podium chances, and we wait and see if Adrian Campfield can maybe gain a position back here.
I think one crumb of comfort for Harper is that I think he is still within the top 20. He may have lost the door mirror and all of that, but there is Harper. He's got Alex Denning just behind him, so that's a place for Alex Denning, and if things stay the way they are with 10 seconds to go in this opening race, it will mean that Dan Harper is still in with a shout of getting a decent starting spot for race 2.
Yeah, for sure. So by the looks of things, even though Peter Dempsey's quite close to the back of his brother right here, looks like he's going to be able to hold on. The gap is only 0.6 of a second between them, but he's done enough, I think, Keith, to hold on and try and get himself up there. We look back to Alex Denning, who's just ahead of Dan Harper here, as now he's got to try and fight. Even though Dan Harper was in the wall, it still looks like his car is in one piece, and now Adam Dowling is trying to get himself involved as well. Dan Harper moves to the outside line. He gets covered off by Alex Denning right there. Dan Harper now having to try and fend off Adam Dowling behind, as now he's on the outside line. Fraser Smith's not too far off the back of them either. Craig Breen with his demolished car is not too far back as well. This could get dicey as Dan Harper has a look up the inside as Alex Denning goes a little bit wide. Harper's underneath him, and a textbook move right there, maybe just putting Alex Denning off a little bit. He cuts in front. He's back up to 9th place. He's in a decent spot for the reverse grid if he can hold on, but let's see if Alex Denning will lose any more positions, because this is a pretty crazy fight for 10th place.
Brilliant move into Cascades there, and who's out up the inside is that Fraser Smith trying to get involved in the act. It's Adam Dowling who's got Fraser Smith for company on the exit of the hairpin. This is the final lap of the race as well. When we get back to the line, we'll get the checkered flag out, and look at this guy, Keith Dempsey. It's a brilliant day if your name's Dempsey. Keith Dempsey first, Peter Dempsey second, as long as they can get through the final few corners.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past Peter to maybe try something, but I don't think he's definitely not close enough anyway. Not from this far back. Keith Dempsey, utterly dominant, got the start right and everything right. Comes through the last corner. He wins the heat race number 1 here in Oulton Park, and he will start 20th on the grid. Peter Dempsey finishes in 2nd place behind his brother. Jason Cooper's going to hold on to take a podium as well. A great job from him. And Adrian Campfield's going to get a great result in 4th place. Damian Harris After fighting so hard with Brian McManus, he finishes 5th. James Holman 6th. Johnny Adam finishes in 7th. And Ronan Haderman started 8th, finishes 8th. Dan Harper finishes in 9th. We think he's going to finish 9th. He does indeed. Dan Harper finishes in 9th. Alex Denning 10th. And Fraser Smith is going to hold on for 11th. Craig Breen, even though we demolished out the back of his car, finishes in 12th place. Rob Moore crosses the line in 13th. A decent recovery drive from him. Evan Walsh is going to finish 17th. Sergio Graben 18th. Rod McGovern 19th. They all cross the line together. And Pat Masterson will be on pole position for the reverse grid race. Pretty good action in that one, but I think it's going to get even more intense.
Oh, yeah. Don't go anywhere, because I think we could be in for another cracker. Here come some of the guys outside the top 20. This is Paolo Bremer coming for the line. He's going to finish in 30th place. Max Turley, he was just behind there, who had gained around 20 places, so a solid drive through the field there. It's not going to help him in terms of the reverse grid, but it will be a better starting spot for all these guys, as off there goes Ergius Diamantis. And I think we've got just a few more cars to come across the line, and then we'll be able to move on to the quick warm-up session before we move on to race 2. Here is Scott Malcolm coming up to the final corner now. He's just overtaken, lapped, I think somebody there. Now into the final corner he goes, and the Scotsman is going to come across the line in, I believe, 37th place. So a solid finish there after starting a bit further back. Over line he goes, and that's 37th place for him.
Yeah, and not a bad job from Dave Sheehan, I must say. 25 places gained overall from the back of the grid, so not too bad from Dave right there. Decent job. And we now head to the quick warm-up session, 3 minutes. And we always talk about the warm-up, even a lot of people don't think it's necessary, but actually, I think in a way it helps you get the adrenaline out of you that you've just had in a race, gets you to calm down a bit, and then resets you for the next one.
Yeah, I don't know whether it's good to go out for the warm-up session or not. You could probably take on a bit of fluids or whatever, because obviously what we've seen from this first race is it's pretty intense. The Heat 1 results are on the screen as well, Jack.
So Keith Dempsey, a winner once again for the 3rd time this season, ahead of his brother Peter in 3 tenths per second between them. Jason Cooper is 3rd. Adrian Canfield is 4th. Damian Harris in 5th. James Holman with a good 6th place. Johnny Adams 7th. Ronan Haderman 8th. Dan Harper started on pole position, but all went from bad to worse. Alex Denning finishes in 10th place. Fraser Smith 11th. Craig Breen finishes in 12th. And Robert Moore 13th. A good recovery drive from him after being in the gravel in turn 1. Adam Dowling 14th. Naveed Hussain 15th. Carl Hardy 16th. Evan Walsh finishes 17th. Sergio Graben will be finishes 18th in the classification. And then the front row for the feature race is Rob McGovern in 2nd, and Pat Masterson will be on pole position for this one. Peter McCann just outside it right there. Then Paul King, Tony Stack, Owen Murray, Dave Sheehan in 25th, Arius Yamantas, Nathan Healy, Dale Bennison finishes in 28th place, 58 seconds off the back of the leaders. Not too many cars lapped in this one by the looks of it. Max Turley, Paolo Breme, Tom Empson, Diarmuid Toomey, Damien McMullen, Rob Barwell, Rob O'Neill, Roger Morton, Scott Malcolm, Wayne Douglas is the first of the guys to be lapped. Brian McManus, of course, was in the wall after such a great battle with Damien Harris. Kieran Ewis, 40th, Dave Collier, Patrick McKenna, Aaron Kerry, Shane Rabbit and Keith Rabbit, who we saw pile into another car in the chicane. Oisin Walsh, of course, fighting for the lead, smashes straight into the tyre barrier after losing the rear end. Olivier Van Herk 47th, and Shane Burke is classified as 48th, but I think that would most certainly be a DNF. Jack Byrne as well, 49th of the classified finishers in this one. So a little bit of a race of attrition, but we're seeing that chicane at the end of the straight is causing a lot of problems for the drivers. Yeah,
it's the quickest part of the circuit over the top of the hill, and then you're still heading downhill when you get on the brakes into that chicane. So no wonder we saw quite a few cars get involved in a few incidents at the start where maybe the tyres and the brakes aren't fully up to temperature. It did get a bit better as the race went on, but we did lose quite a few big names in that opening race. We saw Oisin Walsh, who was running up in 2nd place and was looking set for maybe a decent result, but then he came a cropper at the tyre barriers at the chicane, and then we saw fights all throughout the top 10 really struggling. So as the checker flag comes out now for the warm-up, we'll see if any of the drivers have maybe learned their lessons from what they had in race 1. Of course, the reverse grid is going to throw a bit of excitement, because it means the cars that were quick in qualifying are now going to be right in the midfield. So that's always great to watch, and here we go, the cars are on the grid.
Yeah, of course. So we always know that Keith Dempsey, whether he starts in 20th or 1st, he always seems to manage to get himself up there. So keep an eye out for him as well. Watch for Dan Harper. He's going to be watching for a recovery. Here we go, the grid for the feature race here at Oulton Park. Pat Masterson with pole position, Rod McGovern next to him, Sergey Grabin, Evan Walsh 4th, Carl Hardy, Naveed Hussain, Adam Dowling, Robert Moore, Craig Breen and Fraser Smith. And Alex Denning, Dan Harper will start 12th on the grid for this one, Roland Haderman 13th, Johnny Adam, James Holman, Damian Harris. Then your top four, Adrian Camfield, Jason Cooper, Peter Dempsey and Keith Dempsey will start 20th. Then further down, Dave Sheehan, Arias Humantas, Nathan Healy, Dale Bennison, Max Turley, Paolo Breme, Tom Emson, Diarmuid Toomey, Deming Mullen, Robert Barble, Rob O'Neill. And down at the back, we'll have Olivier Van Herk, Shane Burke and Jack Byrne will start last on the grid here as the lights are about to come on for the feature race. Hold on to your hats for this one. And away we go. It's a good start. Pat Maston looks like not a good getaway from Rob McGovern. As Sergio Grabin looks like he's got a better exit off the grid right there as they head towards turn 1, but he fails in the second phase of the start. Evan Walsh goes straight through the third, side by side up front. There's contact. Rob McGovern's around. There's contact, and off the road goes both cars, 3 cars. Robert Moore's involved in another turn 1 accident. That's him in the wall for the second time today. And Evan Walsh leads from Craig Breen.
Oh, 4 cars off. That must be Evan Walsh, I think, that's gone off at Cascades. And a few cars trying to rejoin the circuit, but well, last time at Brands Hatch we saw the cars at the front collide at the start of race 1. Here, the start of race 2, the top 2 take each other out, and you're right, it's Walsh and Breen leading the way here. Sergio's Grabin doing well too, and Breen, he managed to get in the top 20 after picking up a lot of rear end damage. Now he's got a chance to get his first win of the season.
How about that? 7 places gained in 1 corner. Same for Alex Denning, and Dan Harper's through to 5th place already. Johnny Adams up 8 positions. So all that has caused a lot of problems as Evan Walsh leads. He's now got Craig Breen on his inside, trying to go up the inside. It's going to be an exciting battle between these two. And Evan Walsh is wide as they come through the chicane. Craig Breen around the outside. Can he make it work? Up the inside to the next part. Craig Breen takes the lead in the TCR Cup. Dan Harper's off the road in the background. What on earth has happened to them? That's Peter Dempsey, I think, coming through there. Keith Dempsey, through to 9th. And that has caused a whole lot of problems. Evan Walsh having to fight off Sergio Grabin right here. There's so much going on, but Craig Breen leads for the first time in Digital Motorsports.
Oh, what an opening lap it's been by Craig Breen. 8 places gained. He started just inside the top 10 after benefiting from the reverse grid, and now he's got the whole world behind him. Will he be able to pull away? That's what we're going to have to wait and see over the next 20 minutes or so. Johnny Adam, he's made a good start also. 9 places gained, and he's got Alex Denning directly in front of him as they come across the line to complete the first lap. We wanted drama in race 2, and I think we've been given a whole load of in the first lap.
How about Keith Dempsey and Jason Cooper straight through from 19th to 20th to 9th and 10th on lap 1. Here comes Johnny Adam around the outside of Alex Denning. Not quite going to make that work through there. Around the outside is very tricky. Look at how much it loses on the brakes, or they're trying to get it on the power. Johnny Adam used to a BTCC car, so we'll see as he had to fight Naveed Hussain off in the background, looking on the back of him as they run down through towards the end of Cascades here. So through the left-hander they come into the banked right-hander. And it's still Craig Breen who leads from Evan Walsh. Just having a little think about a look up the inside right there. But Johnny Adams got some work to do. And James Holman, Adrian Camfield, Keith Dempsey, Jason Cooper have all made up a lot of places. Here comes Evan Walsh again. This is exactly the type of dice we want to see. A sim racer versus a pro driver. And Evan Walsh retakes the lead. But can Craig Breen, do what he did earlier and go around the outside? He's got the inside line for the chicane. He's going to come up the inside. Alex Denning up the inside of Sergio Grabin as well. He's going to take 2 and 1. They all go off the road. The outbreaks himself. There's going to be huge contact right there. Sergio rejoins in front of the whole field. Evan Walsh is out. That's another one of the Turn 3 Motorsport cars involved in that one as well. And that is a total disaster. Craig Breen from Sergio Grabin. James Holman is off in the gravel as a result of that one. And Jason Cooper and Keith Dempsey are through to 3rd and 4th. And Dan Harper's in there too.
I thought we wouldn't be able to get 2 double winners in the space of 2 race meetings, but the guys at the front in race 1 are almost within sight of the podium. Oh, big wreck.
Oh dear, that's a number of cars involved right there. That looks like Damian Harris and a number of other ones involved. Fraser Smith was off the road earlier as well. But wow, the rejoins haven't been great, and we've seen that quite often. Rob O'Neill in the wall right there, just at the exit of Druids right there. But that's allowed Keith Dempsey, Jason Cooper, and look at this, Dan Harper versus Keith Dempsey as they come down the hill. He's got the outside line, and Evan Walsh has managed to get going again in the background. So he's down to 6th place now. Adrian Camfield, Peter Dempsey's up there. Arias Humantas and Tony Stack is 10th place now. So now Dan Harper has now got to work work out how to get past Keith Dempsey, and Keith Dempsey has got this championship rival in front of him as well. So this is going to make for some interesting viewing as Dan Harper is glued to the back of the championship leader here as he gets very late on the brakes into the banked right-hander right there, and Keith Dempsey's not going to be an easy man to pass.
Well, I think if we wanted to see how desperate Dan Harper was to get by, I think that onboard shot of him trying to wrestle control of his Audi was a clear testament to that. Here we go down the back straight again. This is where we saw the massive crash happen on the previous lap, which wiped out quite a few decent cars. Hard on the brakes, a bit of opposite lock almost, and now through the left-hander and towards Knickerbrook, and now the run up Clay Hill. And Dan Harper has got a fantastic run, but there isn't too many ways of getting through at this part of the circuit. His best chance might be at Lodge.
Oh, he's going to have a think about going around the outside of the jersey. He's just not able to find any room right here. It's so narrow, that part of the circuit, but they can't afford to battle. They ideally need to glue themselves to the back of Jason Cooper here and try and get themselves up to the top end of the field. But the more they battle, the more Craig Breen is opening the gap out front. He's still in the lead from Sergey Grabin in second place. Jason Cooper, Keith Dempsey, Dan Harper, Evan Walsh, Adrian Camfield, Peter Dempsey, and Arias Yamantis are your top 10 after so many cars got wiped out in a large wreck right there. But we've got a really, really intriguing fight as Jason Cooper 1:39.4, fast lap of the race. He's nearly 7/10 of a second quicker than the guys up front. He's a lot faster than the guys up ahead. And again, these guys matching the pace. So lap 4:15, Keith Dempsey's a touch wide to the left-hander right there. Can Dan Harper get up underneath him? He's going to have a think about it, but he just runs out of room. He's going to have a lot of work to do to get past here. So through the left-hander into the banked right-hander. He tried it earlier. He's got a little run on the inside. It's just not enough room right there. And we saw how late he went on the brakes this time. He thinks about it, goes very deep on the brakes, almost touching. He does touch Keith Dempsey on this. Give him a little bump just to let him know he's there.
What a brilliant battle this is between these guys, and Harper looks particularly good through the first half of the lap. Then Dempsey is able to keep him at bay for the second part, but here comes Harper. He's got a decent toe, he's got the line. Can he get alongside? He is. Can he get by? Yes, he squeezes by for 4th place. Good move by Harper there.
Yeah, good move by Harper and good driving from Keith. Gave him the space to work with. And let's see if Keith can maybe follow Dan, because Dan was the pace setter in qualifying, remember? So we'll see if Keith can maybe just follow his lines and try. Ideally, he wants to catch Jason Cooper in this case. So coming through Druids, just trying to follow him. Again, they don't want to fight too much because Sergey Grabin's still holding on to second place. Jason Cooper's catching him very quickly. Of course, there is Sergey, second place. And Craig Breen is still the leader, don't forget. The WRC driver out in the lead for the first time in Digital-Motorsports. So now Jason Cooper chasing after. There is Craig Breen out in the lead. It's must be a weird feeling for Craig. He's usually in the midfield, but he's lapping pretty quickly right there. 1:39, so one's a bit wide right there, but he's in the 39s and is roughly about the same pace as Keith Dempsey is right now.
What a mighty lap by Cooper, and then Harper betters here, 39.1. It means that Grabin is only 0.3 of a second ahead of Cooper within the space of a lap. That gap has been reeled in, and if I was Craig Breen, I'd be hoping that the 41 Audi will be keeping him at bay for as long as possible, because the pace that this trio have got, Cooper, Harper and Dempsey, looks pretty frightening. Have we lost Craig Breen?
Possibly have. Now, that would be a disaster for Craig if he was just out in the lead. He's just dropped off our screens. I mean, Sergey Grabin is the new leader. He's popped back into the screen right now. But lucky for him, he managed to get himself back. So obviously it made some ping issues for Craig right there. But he's out in the lead nonetheless, not moving for now. And, Jason Cooper goes deep on the brakes right there. He's messed it up. He tries to get past Sergey and drops himself back into the clutches of Dan Harper and Keith Dempsey. So you can see how Jason Cooper is trying to catch up to these guys, but it just shows you the smallest mistake will drop you into the clutches of these guys.
Well, I just want to mention that the pace that these guys were showing was frightening. And then Cooper goes and does that at the chicane. It's proven to be a pretty tricky corner for all of these guys today. And Cooper will hopefully get that behind him and try and close the gap down again, because they have been setting some pretty decent times. The tyres and the brakes are now fully up to temperature after about 3 or 4 laps. So we're now starting to see what these guys have really got behind the wheel as they go through Lodge and back up to the start-finish straight. Here's a fight for 13th place between two biggest movers. These guys have managed to avoid all the wrecks. Shane Rabbit and Keith Rabbit both gaining 31 places.
Another set of brothers. 31 places gained from Shane and Keith. Not bad at all from these guys. We saw Shane Rabbit and Peter Dempsey having to come in together in Brands Hatch. So those guys are not on the best of terms, I can tell you, but they haven't seen too much of each other on the track today. Pat Masterson in 12th after starting. He started on pole, remember, for this one, so he's down to 12th place. Owen Murray is ahead of him at 11th. They've done Tony Stack is in 10th. So it'd be great if Shane could grab a top 10. And just say that, that looks like Owen Murray running wide, Pat Masterson running wide, and up ahead, that's him going through on Owen Murray, excuse me. So he's just made a move on Owen Murray right there, and that was, I think that was Paul King dropping back in the background there. So now that leaves Pat Masterson up to 11th, Owen Murray to 12th, and Shane and Keith up to 13th and 14th place, as now Jason Cooper's got it done this time. No mistake from him. And now Sergey, might he lose another 2 positions, but he just manages to keep Dan Harper behind him in this case, right? This is going to hold up Dan Harper as he tries to get past Sergey, but that opens the door for Jason Cooper to chase down Craig Breen for the lead.
Yeah, you could either bail out and go across the grass and pick up a slowdown penalty, or you try and risk it well, hitting the wall as Alf on the dirty stuff goes Graben, and that will surely allow Dan Harper through into what could be the podium place. Graben is fighting back, but surely with the inside line it will mean that Harper gets the position into Lodge. Does he? Yes, he does, with an extra bit of braking as well. The BMW driver is up into 3rd place.
And Keith Dempsey trying to follow him through. We saw earlier as well. See if he can get up these, and not quite. Sergey just got the exit on him that time, so he's now stuck behind Sergey, and Sergey gets wide. You see him at the rear end stepping out on the exit, and Keith's got the move, should be able to get it done. He's on the outside line down the hill here, but Sergey is not going to fight that one, and Keith goes through after all that. So that's how quickly you can use positions. But now Jason Cooper is free and unleashed to chase after Craig Breen up ahead of him.
Yeah, and last time around he was around half a second quicker, was Cooper, so he knows he's got the pace. They are coming up on a bit of lap traffic as well, so I wonder if that could factor a little bit more into the equation as they slide their way into the hairpin and now back onto the straight. A little bit of dust and dirt kicked up by Craig Breen there. This has been a pretty decent lap so far from Jason Cooper. The gap is now just 0.6 of a second, and it could be more if Cooper's able to use a bit of the toe on this quick straight.
Yeah, we of course interviewed Keith Dempsey last week, and he says Jason Cooper is the pace setter, the man to beat in these TCR cars, and he's absolutely flying at the moment, catching up to Craig. And Dan Harper is now trying his best to catch up. We're right on board with Jason Cooper, as you see Craig Breen just up ahead of him. And let's see if he can negotiate his way past. Just having a look at the speeds they're coming up to here, touching 200 Ks on the brakes into Druids, trying to get it turned in right there. Very easy to let it run out wide, and especially as they come towards Lodge to start lap 8 of 15, the halfway mark of this race. Just past it, so onto the brakes. Look how much he closes up even into Lodge. So just much more confident on the brakes is Jason Cooper, and that is always the mark of a great driver, is how late they can brake.
Oh yeah, one driver that you see in real life that's superbly good at being last on the brakes is Ash Sutton. I think he does have some experience in the TCR cars as well, and Jason Cooper is showing similar abilities. Dan Harper, he don't count out him just yet. He was fastest of anybody on that last lap, of 1:39.0, and here he is. He is within a second of first and second Breen and Cooper, who has got quite a bit of time to get by if he can. The gap, we've got past just the halfway point, so there's 7.5 minutes still to go here.
Yes, now we're really going to see what Craig Breen can do, because Jason Cooper took a second out of him on that lap alone, right on the front bumper of Jason Cooper there. That is the rear bumper of Craig Breen. He should get a nice slipstream down towards the chicane here. Craig's going to defend the inside, and here we go. Jason Cooper trying to take the lead from Craig Breen. Is he going to be able to outbrake him on the outside line of the chicane? They go late on the brakes. Craig is later on the brakes, gets it stopped. Can he hold off Jason Cooper? Yes, he can. Nice late braking from Craig Breen right there. Manages to hold off Jason Cooper for now, but here comes Dan Harper. He's not far off the back as they run up towards Clay Hill and Water Tower into Druids. Keith Dempsey's a wide in the background. He's falling off these guys, but can Jason Cooper? He needs to get past quickly. Craig's defending towards Druids again. Can Jason maybe pop a move up the inside? Not quite. He's going to have a think about it into Lodge next time round. Down the hill they come under the bridge. They've got a lap traffic coming up ahead as well. Craig got the exit that time. Jason in the slipstream towards Lodge corner. He's not going to be able to do it, but great defensive driving so far from Craig Breen.
I thought for a certainty that Craig Breen was going to be going straight on at the chicane, but he was able to make the corner just about, and Cooper is now starting to search for a way by. They're coming up to lap, I believe that's Aaron Kerry just in front of them as we go into the first corner. Look how close Dan Harper is. The gap visibly shrunk in that first corner, and this will be a prime position to see if Jason Cooper can get by Craig Breen. He's looking up the inside into Cascades. Oh, and he nearly prized the door open with a bit of force there. And Craig Breen, oh,
It's gone the way! Oh, it's all gone wrong. 3 cars involved. Craig Breen keeps it out of the wall. Dan Harper's in the wall. That is total disaster. Aaron Carey just got in the way right there. Craig Breen somehow kept it straight, but Dan Harper, for the 3rd time in a row, has been taken out of race 2 in this one. What a shame for him.
oh well, I didn't think it could get any worse after the start, after race 1, but yeah, Craig Breen up the inside at Cascades and hits the back marker, and Cooper very fortunate to get away with that as well. Dan Harper, or you could say innocent bystander in all of that, as Breen now leads from Keith Dempsey, Jason Cooper down to 3rd, I believe.
Yeah, and now he's got to fight his way past Keith Dempsey right here. So Keith Dempsey has managed to capitalise on this. He gets punted in the rear he got punted in the rear back there, and Keith Dempsey goes through to 2nd now. So Jason tried to get past right there, but now that has promoted Sergey to 4th. Adrian Campfield now 5th. Peter Dempsey 7th. Evan Walsh 6th. But Craig, how on earth did he keep that car in a straight line after all of that? He's still leading this race. But as he said, Dan Harper, innocent victim, just got tagged by Jason Cooper a little bit on the rejoin. But now Craig Breen has got the championship leader behind him, and we go on to start lap 10 of 15. Is Craig maybe thinking of a potential podium here?
Well, could be, and I guess with the World Rally Championship cars being 4-wheel drive, it's a similar situation in these cars. Keep your foot planted, and eventually the car should come back around, and I think that's what Craig Breen did there, and he manages to hold on to the lead with just under 5 minutes to go. Now it's up to Dempsey and Cooper, one of whom has got a bit of damage to the front of his Audi, to try and close down the gap. It's still 7/10 of a second, and even with all that contact going on, the gap has come down a little bit. Here is Adrian Campfield and Sergey Graben, and it looks like Campfield is through into 4th place.
Yep, nice move from Adrian Campfield. Now Evan Walsh trying to get through, trying to find some space there on Sergey Graben. So Evan Walsh, of course, led the race momentarily ahead of Craig, but got done around the outside. So this on board with Craig. He gets into the door, keeps his foot planted on the grass, and keeps it straight. So there you go. Just unfortunate, the lap car just came at the wrong time for him, but great driving from Craig to keep that in a straight line.
Could be a race-winning manoeuvre if things stay the way they are. A lot of stuff can still happen in 4 minutes, or maybe make that 3 by the time we get around to the end of this lap. 3 abreast up the hill. Goodness me.
Peter Dempsey with a double overtake around the outside, I think that was. Peter Dempsey wants a move from him again. Evan Walsh goes through, and Sergio, how on earth did Peter Dempsey find space around the outside up of Clay Hill? He goes through to 5th place now. But the battle up front is going to get really tasty. 5 laps to go. Craig Breen leads from Keith Dempsey and Jason Cooper. The championship rivals are about to see who's going to take the win here, or can Craig Breen try and hold off these guys in the background. Adrian Campfield trying to find some pace in him as well in the background. So now Keith Dempsey, how is he going to find his way past Craig here? Jason Cooper, of course, they were involved in the incident earlier, and now he's going to be hoping that he's going to get held up by a lapped car this time. Through the left-hander they come. Keith trying to find some space underneath them. I think it's only a matter of time that Keith finds his way through here, but Craig so late on the brakes. We saw him at the chicane. So let's see, where is Keith going to make this move?
Oh yeah, you get to this stage if you're the race leader like Craig Breen, and the seconds are ticking away. That's not long to go, and you're pretty much trying to keep the lead at all costs as Keith Dempsey pretty much pushes Craig Breen through the hairpin.
And Jason Cooper was also pushing Keith as well, so there was almost a train here. But here we go. Is this the move for the lead right now? Craig, where is he going to go for this one? There's no space either side for Keith Dempsey to go. Is he going to have it go around the outside? Goes late on the brakes, but Craig is later on the brakes than he is. Gets a little bit wide. Jason Cooper trying to find some space right there, but no way through. So Craig is just about doing enough at this late stage to hold on to this race lead at the moment. After all the carnage that happened earlier on, Keith Dempsey, we can't take anything away from him. He's 18 places gained. Jason Cooper 15 places up. Adrian Campfield 13 places up. Peter Dempsey 14 up. So they've all gained a huge amount of places after all this, and Dave Collier 23 from down in 30th odd places right here. So now we begin lap 12 of 15. Craig Breen still leads this race. Keith Dempsey is second, and Jason Cooper in third. Could this get any more exciting?
And I think we're about to find out, because I don't think we're going to get the remaining laps in. We come across the line now with around 90 seconds to go. This should be the final lap of the race. So if Dempsey's going to... You
That
have to,
makes
yeah,
it even better.
yeah, Dempsey's going to have to get by. He's going to have to get by in the next, 12 or 13 corners or so. And Craig Breen has been putting on a textbook defensive display so far, covering the inside at every corner that he needs to, and means that Keith Dempsey's going to have to try and go around the outside, which at a circuit like this is quite difficult to do so.
Well, can Craig Breen hold on for such an unlikely win? Brand new set of brakes on him this week. Keith Dempsey trying to get his third win of the season, his fourth win of the season, excuse me. There's only one more opportunity, really. There's a couple of more opportunities, two more opportunities down this straight and into Lodge Corner might be an opportunity for him. But here we go, the two championship leaders, Keith Dempsey and Jason Cooper, second and third. Craig Breen is the leader as we now tick towards the end of this race. It's going to be so close. Keith Dempsey is going to try anything to try and get past Craig Breen into the chicane here. He's going to hold on for now. Craig goes through the chicane. He's still ahead. They're nose to tail, the leaders here, as they come up towards Clay Hill for the last time. Clock ticks to 19 minutes 40 seconds here, and off the road Peter Dempsey's off in the background. It's all gone from bad to worse for Peter Dempsey. We go back to the leaders though. There's only 10 seconds left. It's going to tick over. This is the last lap. The checker flag's going to come out. Craig Breen is doing everything to try and keep Keith Dempsey behind. There's only one more corner to go at Lodge. Is he going to be able to find any space to get past? Craig Breen holds the middle of the road. Keith's looking for the space on the inside. He's going to go deep on the brakes. There's going to be contact. Craig Breen's around, keeps his foot in the throttle. Jason Cooper around the outside. Is he going to be able to hold on to this one? Yes, Jason Cooper is going to win this race in the final corner on the last lap. Craig Breen is second. Keith Dempsey third. What a finish!
Well, you could see it was going to happen, couldn't you? Dempsey was looking up the inside. He went for the full send, and Craig Breen tried to close the door at the last minute, but the damage was done at that point. And Jason Cooper around the outside. I thought we were on for a photo finish at one point, but he bided his time. And when that moment happened, he pounced and grasped it with both hands. And what a result for him! He started towards the rear of the top 20, and he leaves here the winner of the feature race.
Unbelievable finish. Craig Breen, he was one corner away from a win, but he grabs second place nonetheless. Keith Dempsey is third. That's valuable points gained for Jason Cooper in the championship, and another win for him. Keith Dempsey third. Adrian Campfield with another fourth place. Evan Walsh recovers to fifth. Sergio Grabban to sixth. We now look at Adam Dowling and James Holman very close together on the last lap. But that was unbelievable. That's one of the best finishes I've ever seen in the TCR race. Just classic into Lodge Corner as well, of all places, where we've seen so many things go wrong. But fair play to Craig Breen. It's the second time he's had to plant his foot and keep the car in a straight line. Almost managed to hold on for the win, so close over the line. But Jason Cooper, good driving to hold himself back and just drive around the outside.
What a race-winning move that was from him, and what a race meeting as a whole here at Oulton Park. Has been a brilliant start to the season. Donington Park, Brands Hatch last week, Oulton Park this week, which means we could either be going to Snetterton or to Silverstone next week, 50-50 or whatever one it is. We'll find out 24 hours before we come on air. And what a fantastic race meeting we've had here today, and I'm sure in a moment we'll get the race results so we can go into detail about where each driver finished. And I hope we do have a few drivers joining us for some interviews, because there's plenty of stories to tell from those two races.
Yeah, we definitely want to talk to our top three at least. And Jason Cooper is your winner, unbelievably, on the last lap. So I do say Craig Breen is second on the list. So Jason Cooper wins from Craig Breen. Keith Dempsey is third. Adrian Campfield fourth. Evan Walsh fifth. Sergio Grabban sixth. Arias Yamantis, Tony Stack, Pat Masterson, Keith Rabbit, and Shane Rabbit. What a drive from those guys from the back of the grid to get up just into the top 10. I think the top 10 was just nabbed by Keith there. So he gets the top 10 from the back of the grid. Diarmuid Toomey, Alex Denning, Ronan Hayden, Damien McMullen, Dave Collier, and then Roger Morton, Peter Dempsey, 18th. After all that, we saw him in the grass. Not quite sure what happened to him there. But Dave Sheehan, then Damien Harris, Dale Bennison, James Holman, Adam Dowling, Owen Murray, Rod McGovern, Peter McCann, Carl Hardy, Fraser Smith. Not a good weekend for him today. Aaron Kerry, Scott Malcolm, Paulo Breme, Wayne Douglas, Patrick McKenna, Dan Harper. He's had such a terrible day after starting on pole position. Max Turley, Rob O'Neill, Paul King, Robert Moore, again caught up in a terminal incident for the second time in a row. Tom Empson, Johnny Adam, Rob Barable, Nathan Healy, Naveed Hussain, Kieran Lewis, Brian McManus. Such a terrible day for him as well. Oisin Walsh could have had so much more. Olivier Van Herk, Shane Burke, and Jack Byrne are the final classified finishers there. So, unbelievable. I don't think we really need to say anything more. I need to watch that finish another 10 times before I calm down.
Yeah, that's one of the top finishes of the season. Didn't think we'd be able to top it after Brands Hatch, but there you go. This series keeps on delivering, and we have the top 2 of the top 3 in the interview waiting area ready to talk to us. I guess we better start with our race 2 winner.
Yeah, let's grab Jason Cooper. Jason Cooper, welcome to the comms box. How about that for a finish? You must be delighted with grabbing the win in the last corner.
Well, that was crazy. I was very lucky on that last corner because I was 1 point away from being disqualified. I got quite a few incident points hitting spinning cars and stuff in that race. So, yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yes, we saw an instance just earlier on with a lapped car getting in the way. Looked like you were to make it live in that one.
Yeah, I was. It was unlucky for Dan as well. He was in the wrong place at the wrong time. My car bounced off him and fired him into the wall. That's the second race in a row that I feel pretty bad because he's ended up in the wall hitting my car.
Yeah, so obviously a race of attrition there. So obviously not the best round for you in Brands Hatch last time out. Are you confident moving forward, moving into the following rounds of the championship?
I'm a little bit behind Keith, so got to hope he has a bad round really. But just keep plugging away and see what I can do. But fair play to Craig. He drove really well in that race. It's a bit of a shame on that last call.
Pass you on to Adam, see if he's got anything for you.
What was the chicane like? Because we did see quite a few cars hitting the tyre stacks and really struggling to get the brakes on. Is that something that you had to watch out for in the early stages when the tyres weren't up to temperature?
Yeah, I think if you brake too hard as well, I think the ABS kicks in a bit and the brakes actually come off a bit. So if you commit yourself a bit too deep and then panic and it brakes too hard, you end up being worse off and firing into some.
And when you're starting towards the midfield of the pack after the reverse grid, I guess it's the guys behind you that you need to watch out for. But on this occasion, they were wrecking in front of you at the start. You had to have your wits about you to avoid it all.
Yeah, there's cars going in every which direction.
Next week, then, from what I gather, it's a 50-50 between Silverstone and Snetterton. I think those are the only 2 British circuits we haven't been to yet. Have you got one that you prefer that we go to?
I did pretty well in the TCR. Snetterton, I don't mind either. Done quite well there in real life, so either.
Yeah, I guess you've got to go to them at some point. So, yeah, well, that's the answer to the equation. Before we let you go, Jason, do you want to send a quick shout out to anyone at all?
Yeah, thanks for all the guys for the racing. Enjoy it most of the time, and of course you guys for doing the stream as well. It's brilliant. Love watching it back every week.
Well, we're enjoying every moment of it so far, and that finish was one of the best. Jason, well done today, and thanks for taking the time to come and speak to us.
Cheers. I'll see you next week.
So let's have a look and see who we've got lined up. I believe we should be able to grab our second place man. Let's get Craig Breen in the box. Craig, sorry if we dragged you out mid-conversation there, but so close to the win, last corner, get hit in the rear. You must be pretty gutted with that one.
I just can't believe I held on for that long, to be honest with you. You can quite clearly see I'm out of my comfort zone. This isn't really what I do, so I knew at some point there was going to be quicker guys coming on, and I just had to try and drive in the middle of the road wherever they wanted to go at every moment. So nearly held on, but a lot of fun, really a lot of fun.
Good stuff. So we saw, of course, nearly all came undone with a lapped car there on the exit of the left-hander at the bottom of the hill. Looked like you just about got out of that one.
Yeah, I'm not used to having people around me, so I was happy enough and content out with my own, driving away like back in the rally again. But the minute people start coming around me, I don't really know what to do. So I don't even know if that was the right or wrong thing to do. I was just minding my own business, and then there was somebody there. So, but it actually got me a bit of a favour because it got me another couple of laps of a break before anyone that's actually up to drive. These things caught back up to me again. So it was a welcome break.
Yeah, so how is it adapting from a WRC style of driving into a TCR? Obviously, it's very different, of course. Well, there is a bit of sideways action, of course, but obviously it's a very different style.
I hate the yokes. To be completely honest, yeah, it's weird, and obviously you have to be very, very patient. And I'm not used to anything like this at all. So it's in rallying, if you're missing a tent here or there, you just You just stick your neck out a bit more and you take a few risks here or there, whereas here you have to be very methodical about everything that you do, and it's not necessarily about pushing flat out. So it's really, really good, interesting for me to keep sharp and I'm enjoying.
Good stuff. And obviously, the next 2 rounds, either a toss-up between Snetterton or Silverstone. Is there one you prefer out of them? One you think you're going to do better at than the other?
I'd love to tell you about this one. This one's that I don't even know what they look like. Silverstone, I've watched obviously I've watched Formula One in the past, and I can tell you roughly what it was like. And I don't even know the name. I don't even know where the other one is. So I'll tell you next.
Tell me next week. Right, I'll pass you on to Adam. See if Adam's got anything for you.
Craig, you picked up a bit of rear end damage in race 1. Did that affect the car's handling at all?
I didn't even know. How can you tell? I hit a lot of stuff on the first race. Very much self-inflicted, so apologies whoever I drove into. But yeah, it did. I did notice. I thought it was more on the front, so there you go. News to me. It was obviously something missing off the back of it as well. Then.
Well, I guess, yeah, in a front-wheel drive car, you're already lacking a bit of rear end grip, so probably difficult to tell the difference.
Yeah, no, I was just trying to make the most out of a bit of a mess. For some reason, in the quali, my second lap, with my better lap didn't come through. I don't know if I messed up some way. Again, I'm new to this whole thing, and I'm probably breaking rules and doing things that I shouldn't do. So I don't know right or wrong, but it took my first lap. So obviously, I had a pretty bad starting position, and I was in a bit of carnage. And yeah, again, self-inflicted. And apologies to anyone that I probably bet out of my way getting through. This is not my forte at all.
Well, looking at your start to the season, it's been a pretty upward curve. You had a top 10 finish, I believe, at Brands. You've got on the podium today, so you're getting to grips with it. That must be said.
Yeah, no, it's nice. To be fair, I'd kind of fallen out of love with it a small bit last week. I'd played around with some of the settings on the screen, thinking I was a whiz kid, and it absolutely backfired on me. And I only realised it sort of during the week. So once I changed that back again, it all started to come back, making more sense again at least. So I really enjoyed this one, I have to say. It was good fun, and albeit under pressure for trying to keep ahead of these boys that very much know what they're at for 15 laps. But I enjoyed it.
Well, before we let you go, do you want to send a quick shout out to anyone at all?
I don't know. Mommy and Daddy are watching downstairs. It's their highlight of the week.
That's right.
There's nothing. They normally travel around the world, so they're able to watch it from their sitting room now these last couple of weeks. So yeah, thanks for the support. I'm waiting for a couple of things to be brought up to me here shortly.
Well, it's great to have you with us, Craig. Well done on the second place. It was so close to being a win, but looking forward to see what happens with you for the rest of the season. And thanks for coming to speak to us as well.
No worries at all. Thanks.
Right, so I think that's the proper trait of a rally driver. You picked up rear end damage. I don't know, did I? Proper stuff from Craig Breen there. Obviously enjoying the hell out of his time there. Now, we're just going to drag in our third place man, Keith Dempsey. Keith, sorry to drag out mid-conversation if we did. Very, very close finish. Almost managed to get the win there, but a bit of conflict between yourself and Craig. But either way, a podium still a good result for you.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. It was a close race there at the end, so I had a bit of damages carrying from the first few laps of the race, so struggling a little bit for pace, but there was a bit of carnage in front of me, and then coming down to the last corner, there was a bit of a gap with Craig, and I said I'll have a go, and I tried to, he kind of moved on the brakes, and I couldn't pull out, and then I ended up making contact with him, so I didn't want to take the position off him, so I kind of braked up and waited for him to get straight again, but then Jason got us around the outside, so not the end of the world. I enjoyed the race, to be honest. I made a mistake at the start and hit my teammate James Holman, and I ballooned him out of it at the chicane. It's totally my fault, so I'll probably expect a penalty for that, but yeah, it wasn't deliberate. It was just one of those things. I braked too late and ruined his race and didn't help my own, so not ideal, but yeah, no, enjoyable race considering going back from 20th again up to the podium. I'm happy with that so far now.
Yes, you had a good dice between yourself, Dan Harper and Jason, of course. You obviously, again, fighting with those guys, obviously a pro driver and a sim racer, of course, it's always good to have good dice through the field. Yeah,
it's cool to be racing with the likes of Dan and Jason as well. Like, they're both really good on this, and Dan is having a terrible bit of luck. Like, the time he done in qualifying was unbelievable. Like, I couldn't get near it. I probably underdrove qualifying because I'm struggling with the X's around here. This track is probably the most difficult for track limits for me anyway. Even the race there towards the end, I was afraid to nearly get in the battle with Craig and Jason, because if I had one bit of car contact, I was out of the race. So tried to hold back a little bit, but yeah, Dan's not having a whole lot of luck. So yeah, it's tough.
Yes, obviously, Jason has closed down a little bit in the championship. But are you confident you can still coming into the last 2 rounds?
Yeah, I feel pretty good. Like my pace was there this week. Myself and Peter kind of drove away in the first race and had a good result there. We pulled 6 seconds, I think it was, Jason, in that race. So that doesn't happen very often. So finally getting the grips maybe with the TCR and the first second race there was a little bit chaotic, but some of it my fault, some not my fault. But such is racing, I suppose.
Good stuff. I'll pass you off to Adam, see if he's got anything for you.
Bob, you picked up back-to-back wins at Brands Hatchkeith and a victory as well in race 1 here today and podium in race 2. I think the season must be going pretty well for you, from all things said, despite not getting the win here today in race 2.
Yeah, to win is obviously always the aim. So to do that in the first race was good, and the second race I kind of wanted to do it again, but maybe tried a little bit too hard. Craig was bouncing around a little bit. He thinks he's having internet or computer issues, so I ended up touching him when he got oil and herb, and he disappeared and then came back on. I think he got a black flag from then me making contact with him, so it was a little bit difficult to kind of drive close to him. But he done a great job out the front for the race. Like, you know, it's not easy to hold back like the likes of Jason and Dan Harper and them. So fair play to him for racing well. So it's good to have all these lads in, and makes it harder for the rest of us.
And how did you find lap 1? There was a lot of, I think the top 2 collided with each other at the first corner, and then there was a big wreck at the chicane as well. Did you have much difficulty trying to negotiate all of that?
No, well, I think I caused the grief at the chicane. I outbraked myself trying to pass Adrian Canfield and came in and hit James Holman on the back. So it was probably me that caused an awful lot of the trouble down there. So the rest of the first lap was pretty okay for me. I made it an okay start, and then I just tried to stay out of trouble, try to find the gaps, see where they are. But no, enjoying. I do enjoy the racing in these cars. They're not obviously my favourite car to drive, but the racing is good. You can make a little bit of contact and a bit of rubbing is racing, as they say. But it's kind of very easy to go over the line sometimes, and I think I might have there with the contact with James.
Great. Well, before we let you go, do you want to send a quick shout out to anyone at all?
Thanks to all the lads on Digital-Motorsport and to all the Turn 3 lads who are constantly in the Discord abusing ourselves. So we have a bit of fun together. So that's the most important part of it all, really.
Great. Well done on the win and the podium today. To add to the back-to-back wins at Brands, it's been a pretty decent 2 weeks for you. So thanks for joining us, and all the best next week.
Can't complain. Thanks very much.
And I think we should have one more waiting for us in the box. I think we got our 4th place man, Adrian Campfield. Adrian, thanks for joining us. 2 4th places, race 1, race 2. Nothing to complain about, I hope.
No, I'm ecstatic with that. It's really good. It's nice to be up there and racing for the lead. Obviously, these cars pick up a bit of damage. Just on the 2 or 3 laps ago on race 2, I just caught the back of a back marker and it just lost all my speed. I just wasn't able to fight for the win, but to take 2 fourths is really good, especially with the reverse grid.
Yeah, obviously there was a lot of chaos across with lap traffic and a lot of wrecks. Obviously, keeping your nose clean is obviously very key.
Yeah, it's race 2 is a strange one. You can do a good couple of laps and you'd be like in the top 10, have an incident, and then all of a sudden you drop back, and then like 2 or 3 laps later again you're back where you were, and you're almost with the leaders again, because that many people are having incidents in race 2. It's just never over, really. You just got to keep going.
Yeah, so obviously we're heading to either Snetterton or Silverstone next week. Is there a particular circuit that you're more looking forward to than the other?
Probably Silverstone, because I've driven there. Snetterton, I've never driven there in real life, so I'll have to do some practice, learn a new track, see where it goes.
Yeah, and of course, fighting with the likes of Dan Harper, Keith Dempsey, Peter Dempsey. You must enjoy dicing it out with these pro drivers.
Yeah, I used to race Pete back in 2008 in Formula Ford. So sort of, and we've done the Walter Hayes a few times together, so it's good to reunite that battle 10 years down the line. So yeah, it's good to be racing with him again.
Good stuff. I'll pass you off to Adam, see if he's got anything for you.
How was it in the first few corners, Adrian, with so much going on in front of you?
I was just extremely cautious, just making sure that if someone wanted to try and brake late and throw it down the inside or hang it, I just let them have it. It's better to lose a couple at the start than to spin. And once you get through the first lap, then it's okay. That's that chicane though. That's where all the action seems to happen. Practice and qualifying, you can go in and like get as close to the curbs and tyres as you can, but in the race, everyone's very cautious on those tyres. So yeah, it seemed to be a lot of action there. But once you got through the first few laps, it was good. I'm glad to be involved in the league. Niall does a great job, and yeah, hopefully to stay in here and do a few more leagues with these guys.
Can it be quite difficult to be careful in the opening stages of a race, especially with these front-wheel drive cars being quite easy to slide about when they're on cold tyres?
Yeah, it's good to actually drive front-wheel drive. iRacing's got a lot of rear-wheel drive stuff, so when you get into a bit of a slide, you can sort of just keep it going by putting the foot in. When you're on cold tyres in the rear-wheel drive stuff, you're just going to lose it. So on these, it's good. You can feed your way into the first few laps without having a huge run, as long as you're just slightly careful. So yeah, it's good fun.
Well done on the 4th place. Before we let you go, do you want to send a quick shout out to anyone at all?
No, I'm racing by myself today. Just thanks to Niall and Digital-Motorsports for letting me race in the league. It's been brilliant. So
no worries. And yeah, well done on the 4th place. We've just been watching back on the replay on the live stream some decent overtakes from yourself. So we'll hopefully get to see more of that at wherever we are next week.
Fingers crossed. I think that moves me up to 3rd in the championship. So yeah, we're doing all right. We'll see how we get on in the next race.
Cheers, Adrian. Thanks for coming to speak to us.
No worries. Thanks, guys.
Right, so just having a quick check in the interview box. It looks like we have Mr. Organizer in there as well. So let's see if I can just grab him.
Birthday man.
Birthday man, let's see if I can grab him.
And driver.
Niall, we've pulled you out mid-conversation, sorry. But welcome to the commentary box, and first of all, happy birthday. But yeah.
Oh, wow, am I live on the internet now?
Yes, you are.
Yes.
Well, lads, yeah.
Right, so the first opening 3 rounds have been absolutely mental. I mean, it's been great watching. How are you enjoying it from the comfort of your own home?
Well, lucky you gave me a heads up, because I was in the middle of saying what we were about to do next. So thanks for the shout out there, Jack. It's been immense. As I was saying, we're looking at obviously, you know, the quality of racing that we're putting on in terms of the streams. The great jobs you guys are doing, and the commentary team is just. I always get so excited with you, Jack, at the end. That last lap. Is it the best last lap we've had? I don't know. Does it beat the minis at Mondello? I don't know, but I was jumping off my seat at it. Like, it's onwards and upwards. That's what I say every week. You know, we've been doing this for God knows how long now, Jack. And you know, I was just saying to Jason Cooper there, was in the waiting room. You know, some of it's frustrating. Like, we've got some issues there around just getting some of the team names and the skins right, and that's all admin at the back end. But at the end of the day, what an amazing race! So, like, you know, to have, where would you ever get that kind of Craig Breen World Rallycross driver out in front, Keith Dempsey, just, you know, and the history that Keith brings from real world racing and from sim racing as well, and of course Cooper in the mix. And would we have preferred to see some of the other guys in there? Of course, we've got some of the challenges still with that sim racing just brings, right? But how did you enjoy it? What, like, tell us from the commentary team point of view.
Wow.
And what do we say? I mean, I've never quite seen a last lap like that ever, apart from the minis, obviously. But yeah, just mental. And of course, no, there was a quick game. Obviously, there was an article that went out in the Irish Times today about how Digital Motorsports has like risen so much because of the quarantine, and obviously we're seeing that with the viewership on the streams.
Yeah, for sure. Like, everything here is about timing. That was just it was actually a phone call I received out of the blue, more or less, just from the Irish Times, just about an opinion that I had. But it's a bittersweet success, really, for Digital Motorsports, and I'm sure everyone in sim racing feels the same way. In one sense, we don't have any real-world motorsport right now to watch and entertain ourselves with, but what a great time for sim racing to be able to step in and fill that void. The quality of equipment that we have right now, the quality of streams that we have, the commentators that are put behind it, and the fact that the drivers are now turning up the boat. It's really, really interesting for me to see how top pro real-world racers and top professional sim racers, because they are, of course, now getting paid for doing this as well, are able to race and race very competitively online. Like the F1 stuff is just mega, but you know, for me, it's about this stuff that we're doing with Digital Motorsport right now. I just think, personally, I think it's some of the best racing out there.
Yeah, it really is something. So, quick last one for you. Obviously, your birthday's today. How have you been spending it in this quarantine?
Yeah, I had a great day, to be honest. It's kind of bizarre, for people watching outside of Ireland. Of course, it's traditionally known as being a very wet and grey country. But as soon as quarantine comes along, the sun has been out. So I woke up bright and early. Tom and Olivia were first in. They're my daughter and my son. They've eaten all the cake even before I even managed to get to it. But had a lovely day, and I was excited about this race. And actually, I'm just going to put a shout out. If anyone is watching this, what I'm going to be doing straight after this is setting up my own server. I'm going to have, because I never get to race, Jack, do I? So I'm going to have my own birthday race after this on iRacing. So join our Discord. That'll be going up in that. Just want to say a huge shout out to Apex Racing TV. They're doing a great job as always. Lee's doing a great job. Samuel as well. Adam and yourself, Jack. What a team. It really is coming together, isn't it?
Yeah, from the days of barely working streams. So, yeah, so Niall, thanks for joining us in the comments box, and enjoy the rest of your day.
I will, and thanks. And as I said, I'm going to put that server up soon, so come and join me for that. Thanks so much. No better way to leave the stream. We'll leave it there, Jack. But thank you guys, and join us next week.
Thanks, Niall. So I mean, what's left to say after that? I mean,
Yeah, I know he kind of done the outro for us there.
yeah. So, Niall obviously over on cloud 9 after that finish. So we don't know where we're heading next week. We think it's either Snetterton or Silverstone, but obviously, Adam, two very different circuits. Snetterton very tight and twisty, and Silverstone extremely open slipstream fest.
Yeah, I think either of them, after what we've seen here today, is going to be just fine. It depends on what layout of Silverstone we're going to use. If we're on the national circuit, which is what the British touring cars use in real life, you're right, it is going to be a slipstream fest. We're going to be seeing drivers try and get every last tenth of a second, or maybe even hundredth, out of the cars. And if it's the international circuit or the Grand Prix circuit, we'll still see more of that. It's probably the widest circuit we're going to go to all season. Snetterton is probably a bit like this, except without the up and downhill sections. Snetterton's very flat, and I think we could be treated to an absolute treat there as well. There's a bit like Oulton Park as well, where there's not too many overtaking opportunities either. So either one of them's going to be great. We're going to both of them anyway. It just depends which one's going to be next week, and they could all pose a threat in terms of turning the championship upside down. So looking forward to see what's going to happen there. And just a few moments ago, we were looking back on the replay of that crazy finish too.
Yeah, so I would think that's going to be viewed quite a lot over the next week or so. So we hope you all enjoyed at home the crazy action that TCR brings. As we said, next week at the same time, it's either going to be Snetterton or Silverstone. We will know on Monday where we are going to be. But Keith Dempsey still in the lead of the championship. Jason Cooper, just a tiny chunk of points taken out of him, but every point counts with only 2 rounds left in this championship. Imagine 3 rounds gone already. So thanks to Adam for joining me as always. Thanks to Samuel for working hard in the broadcast as always. And we will see you at the same time next week, 8 p.m. British time, for round number 4 of the Digital Motorsports TCR Cup. If that last lap is anything to go by, make sure you tune in next week for the next 2 rounds. It's going to be brilliant. Thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Thank you, and good night.